Sometimes I look back and wonder how I even did it. My life, for so many years, became this quiet, almost sacred devotion to Arthur. His illness just crept in, slowly at first. Then it consumed everything, demanding every ounce of my energy, every waking thought. I became his hands, his memory, his unwavering rock, sacrificing my own small pleasures and grand dreams without a second thought. It wasn't a burden, not really. It was just what we did, what I did, for the man I loved, the man who was my world. There were moments, of course, when the sheer exhaustion threatened to pull me under, but then I'd look at him, so vulnerable, and find another reserve of strength I didn't know I had. Our shared history. It was like a warm blanket I'd pull around myself on the coldest nights. I'd remember the spark in his eyes when we first met, the adventurous trips we took, the quiet evenings curled up with a book, simply enjoying each other's presence. Those memories were my anchors, the proof of a life truly lived, built hand in hand. Even as Arthur's body failed him, and the cruel reality of his prognosis loomed large, I clung to those beautiful recollections, finding a profound sense of purpose in my role as his caregiver. It wasn't just about prolonging his life. It was about honoring the incredible journey we'd shared, the promises we'd made, and the quiet understanding that had always bound us together. Our home, once filled with the lively sounds of a bustling life, now had a different kind of rhythm, a gentle hum of quiet care. Each measured dose of medicine, every carefully prepared meal, the gentle touch on his fevered brow, these were the silent acts of my unwavering commitment. Sure, the isolation could be profound, and sometimes a wave of weariness would wash over me, making my bones ache. But then I'd think about our future, the meticulous plans we'd made, the financial security we'd painstakingly built together, and it would spur me on. I truly believed all these sacrifices were worth it, laying a strong foundation for whatever was to come, a testament to our enduring partnership and the love that I thought was unbreakable. The air in the room just changed one afternoon, a subtle shift that I felt deep in my bones. Arthur's breathing, which had been so labored for so long, softened, almost imperceptibly. I was right there beside him, holding his hand, tracing the lines on his face, whispering every loving word I could think of. It was peaceful, truly, as if he simply drifted off to sleep, and I found a strange, grim comfort in knowing I was with him to the very end. My promise, my vow, had been kept, fulfilled in those last quiet moments. The days that followed were a blur of hushed voices and soft footsteps. Friends and family, they truly rallied around me, their hugs and kind words a much-needed balm for my raw grief. The funeral, though painful, was a beautiful tribute to Arthur's life, and I felt a quiet sense of closure knowing I'd honored him. Amidst the sorrow, a tiny flicker of anticipation began to stir within me. A new chapter, difficult but mine, was finally beginning. I just knew that all the hard work we'd put in, the life we'd built together, would now be mine to navigate, our shared assets securing my future. Looking back, I remember a few times in those final days, Arthur seemed a little distant, more withdrawn than usual, perhaps. But I just chalked it up to the illness, the pain, the sheer exhaustion of it all. Who could blame him? I dismissed any nagging thoughts, focusing instead on his comfort, on being present for him. There was so much going on, so much to manage, and I honestly couldn't imagine anything else taking up his precious last thoughts. Now, with the funeral behind us, the next inevitable step was approaching, the reading of the will, a moment I believed would simply confirm what I already knew was rightfully ours. The lawyer's office felt strangely hushed, almost reverent as I sat there, my heart a mix of lingering grief and quiet anticipation. I expected a solemn formality, a confirmation of what I already knew, that Arthur and I, as partners in life and love, had built a future together, and now it was simply being made official. The air was thick with unspoken condolences, a respectful silence. But then, Mr. Henderson, with his crisp suit and even crisper voice, cleared his throat, and the words that followed hit me like a physical blow, each one a hammer strike against my already fragile composure. "According to Mr. Arthur's last will and testament," he began, his voice devoid of emotion, "all of his substantial assets, the family home, savings, investments, everything, are to be bequeathed to Ms. Sarah Jenkins." My breath hitched. Sarah? Who on earth was Sarah? The name hung in the air, a foreign, unwelcome sound that echoed in the sudden, ringing silence of the room. I must have misheard, surely. My mind raced, searching for any Sarah I knew, any acquaintance, any distant relative. Nothing. The confusion was quickly overtaken by a searing wave of disbelief, then a cold, creeping horror. This couldn't be right. This simply wasn't possible. The pain that followed wasn't just grief. It was a profound, gut-wrenching betrayal, cutting deeper than Arthur's death itself. My world, already teetering on the brink, crumbled beneath my feet. Years of sacrifice, of unwavering care, of putting my own life on hold, flashed before my eyes, culminating in this unbearable injustice. The lawyer continued to speak, offering a few cryptic details about this Sarah, mentioning an address, a date, but his words blurred into an incomprehensible drone. All I could feel was the icy grip of treachery, the devastating realization that the man I had loved and cared for so deeply had harbored such an unimaginable secret, leaving me with nothing but shattered trust and a gaping void. The initial shock, the raw disbelief, slowly began to morph into a searing, cold anger. My grief for Arthur was still there, a dull ache, but it was now overshadowed by a burning need for answers. Who was Sarah? How could Arthur, the man I'd shared my life with, the man I'd selflessly cared for, have kept such a monumental secret? I felt a desperate urgency to peel back the layers of his deception, to understand the betrayal that had just shattered my entire world. Sleep became a luxury I couldn't afford. Every waking moment was consumed by this relentless, furious quest for the truth. I started digging, turning our familiar home into a crime scene. Every corner a potential clue. Old papers, financial statements, even the dusty boxes in the attic. Nothing was sacred. I found a hidden compartment in his old desk, and inside, a small, worn, leather-bound diary, not his usual organized planner. Flipping through it, my hands trembling, I discovered cryptic notes, dates, and then, unmistakably, Sarah's name, scrawled repeatedly, sometimes alongside travel itineraries and subtle financial discrepancies that now screamed out at me. The realization that this affair had been going on for years, right under my nose, twisted my gut into knots. How could I have been so blind? I even started discreetly reaching out to some mutual friends, subtly probing, watching their reactions, searching for any flicker of recognition or discomfort when I mentioned the will, or even just Arthur's later habits. A few conversations, seemingly innocent at the time, now replayed in my mind with sinister new meanings. The long absences, the vague excuses, the times he seemed just a little too busy, all the subtle signs I'd dismissed as illness-related or just Arthur being Arthur, suddenly coalesced into a horrifying picture of a carefully constructed double life. My shock was now replaced by a chilling, determined rage, solidifying my resolve to expose every single one of his lies, no matter how painful the truth might be. After weeks of relentless digging, the puzzle pieces finally clicked into place, forming a complete, ugly picture of Arthur's deceit. The anger I felt was still very much present, a simmering fire, but it was now tempered by a surprising clarity. I realized that confronting Sarah directly in a dramatic shouting match wouldn't serve me. I needed a different kind of vindication. My focus shifted from emotional outbursts to a more calculated approach, one that would expose the truth and reclaim my dignity without descending into chaos. I knew my fight wasn't just about money. It was about honoring the years I'd given, about proving that his betrayal wouldn't break me,